Hey loves, happy Monday. So today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite topics, and that is traveling. So I am actually going to Thailand in a couple weeks, and that is what inspired this video. So specifically, we're going to be talking about some tips and tricks so you can travel even when you're on a budget. I know a lot of people do say that traveling is a luxury type of item, but I think if it is really important to you, you can definitely budget yourself and find ways to make traveling work for you and more specifically your budget. So my first tip is to spend less on material things and set aside money every paycheck to invest in traveling and new experiences. By setting aside money for your next adventure, you're really investing in that experience for the long term, even though you may not be able to travel immediately, maybe, a year down the line, 2 years, 5 years, whatever it may be. Once you save up enough to budget towards going on a big trip, you will feel more accomplished and just really happy that, you set aside that money to invest in something that is really important for you. So after you start saving your money, my next tip is to create a budget for yourself and to choose a destination based on that budget. So of course, all the different destinations are not going to be priced equally, so you really have to think about how far you want to travel, if it is an international trip that you want to take, or if it is something within your own country, a more local trip, things like that. You definitely have to consider when choosing what destination you want to go to. And I personally recommend downloading the Secret Flying app. So this app actually gives you access to really great last minute travel deals. And depending on the amount that you've already saved up, you might be able to find some really good deals and be able to travel to places that you may not have originally thought you would want to go to. So once you've started saving money, created a budget, and chosen your destination, I would definitely recommend to book your flight and accommodations in advance. For flights, I definitely recommend the Skyscanner app or Hopper. So this allows you to put in dates and you can monitor what the flight prices are, and they'll alert you when prices drop or change or whatever it may be, so you know when's the best time to be booking your flight. And for hotels, I particularly like booking.com. It gives you access to a lot of different hotels. You can add in your destination, what dates you're going to be traveling, and a majority of the time they have really great hotels that range from like 1 to 5 stars, and you could actually book your reservation without having to pay anything up front. So my next tip would be to book using a private browsing window and to always clear your cookies and cache. So sites can actually monitor how often you're looking at flights for certain dates. And with that information, they'll sometimes raise the pricing just depending on how competitive it is for certain dates. So always be sure to open a private browsing window, clear your cookies and cache, and make sure all of that information is clear before you search for your flight, to be sure that you get the best prices. And my next tip would be to be open to staying in hostels. I know I already said to look at hotels through booking.com, and that is a good strategy as well. But if you want to save a lot of money, staying at hostels is definitely a good option. And I know hostels get a lot of bad rap. I know there's so many movies about really bad hostel situations, but I promise you there are some really great hostels out there. I definitely recommend downloading the Hostel World app, and this is what I use to find the hostel that I'm staying at while I am in Bangkok. And do keep in mind that, all hostels are definitely not equal. The hostel that I'm staying at in Bangkok is actually really, really nice. It looks like a 4-star hotel, but it's for hostel pricing. I mean, it's like $11 a night. You can't beat that. And what's really great about hostels is not only is it really cheap accommodations, a lot of the times they offer free breakfast, so you get free meals. And in my particular situation, the hostel that I'm staying at in Bangkok offers free cooking classes as well as free barbecues. So lots of really awesome free experiences that I get just for staying at a hostel. So like I said, with the hostel that I'm staying at, I get access to like free meals as well as a free cooking class. So with that said, my next tip would be to find free experiences. So on top of things like free cooking classes, there's always nearby hiking, which is a great experience in itself. There's free museums, and depending on the location of your accommodations, you can be so close to the city that you can do a lot of just walking and exploring the city on your own. Which leads me to my next tip, which is to ask for advice from family and friends. I think a lot of the times the best tips come from the people that you know, and you can find some really great off the beaten path and really cheap adventures just from that. My next tip would be to use public transportation. So while I was in London, I used the London Metro, the London Underground. When I was in Paris, I took the Paris Metro. When I was in Japan, I took the train. I think using public transportation is a really great way to explore the city that you're in. My next tip would be to not buy any souvenirs. So not only will this save you a lot of money, but instead of, investing in material things that you might throw away in a couple years, instead you can really just treasure the experience that you've had for what it is while you're traveling. And my last tip is to haggle. So especially in places like Southeast Asia, when I was in the Philippines and while I'm on my trip in Thailand, I'm gonna be haggling a lot, especially in the local markets. I think it's really great that you don't have to pay anything at the face value. You can kind of go back and forth with the sellers and they can give you the best price just as long as you know how to haggle. Just go back and forth a little bit with the seller and even walk away and see the great and amazing deals they actually end up giving you. Okay guys, so those are all my tips for traveling on a budget. Hopefully you thought this video was helpful. I will be vlogging while I am in Thailand, so I am so excited. I will be in Bangkok for a few days and then Chiang Mai, and then I'm going to do some island hopping, first flying into Krabi and then going to Koh Phi Phi and Koh Lanta, I believe. And I'm sorry if I'm butchering any of those island names, by the way. I am personally not Thai, so I'm not exactly sure how I should be pronouncing those places. But yeah, guys, that's it. Hopefully you found my tips useful. And just again, if you do want to travel, it just is something that you really have to know that you want to invest in. A lot of the times people get so involved in the day-to-day of like eating out all the time, as well as, buying the latest and greatest new tech gadget. But if you want to travel, you can definitely just take away some of those unnecessarily spending that you do and invest and set aside money and save just so that you can have really great travel adventures instead. And since I am going to be in Thailand for a couple weeks, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to post any videos while I am out of town, but I'll be sure to keep you guys updated. So stay tuned on my social media channels for any updates about anything like that. So I guess that's it. Thank you guys as always so much for watching, and I will see you next Monday. Bye guys.